In the bustling heart of New York City, where skyscrapers tower over crowded streets, Kylie Reynolds stood in her modest apartment, staring at her reflection in the mirror. She adjusted her blazer, smoothed her hair, and took a deep breath. Today was the day she had been preparing for, a job interview at Grayson Technologies, one of the biggest tech firms in the country. But this was no ordinary interview. Grayson Technologies wasn't just any company. It was her family's legacy, built from the ground up by her grandfather, Walter Grayson. Yet, no one at the company could know that. Not yet. Walter had called her late the previous night, his voice low and serious over the phone. He told her about a crisis at the Manhattan branch, hundreds of millions of dollars unaccounted for, vanished into thin air. He needed someone he could trust to investigate, someone who could blend in without raising suspicion. That someone was Kylie. He had sent her an encrypted email with basic details, names of key players, and a few suspicious transactions, but he made it clear she had to find the hard evidence herself. No one could know she was his granddaughter. She had to earn her place like everyone else. Kylie stepped out into the crisp morning air, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and nerves. She wasn't just walking into an interview, she was stepping into a mission. The Grayson Technologies building loomed ahead, a sleek tower of glass and steel, a symbol of innovation and power. As she approached, she noticed a small commotion near the entrance. A group of sharply dressed employees stood in a circle, laughing and pointing at a young man in a faded jacket and worn sneakers. He held a cardboard coffee cup, his head lowered as one of the employees, a tall guy in a suit, shoved him playfully but hard enough to make him stumble. "Hey, delivery boy, you lost or just here to beg for scraps?" the man sneered, drawing chuckles from the others. Kylie frowned. She couldn't stand bullies. Without thinking, she marched over, her voice cutting through the noise. "Leave him alone." "What's wrong with you people?" The group turned, surprised, and the tall man smirked. "Mind your business, sweetheart. This loser doesn't belong here." Kylie stepped closer, glaring. "He's got as much right to be here as you do. Back off." The man rolled his eyes but backed away as the others dispersed, muttering under their breath. The young man looked up at her, his dark eyes meeting hers for a brief moment. "Thanks," he said quietly, his voice steady despite the ordeal. "No problem," Kylie replied, offering a small smile before heading inside. She didn't catch his name, but something about him lingered in her mind. Inside the Grayson Technologies lobby, the air buzzed with energy. Employees hurried past with laptops and coffee cups, their conversations a mix of tech jargon and office gossip. Kylie checked in at the reception desk, her palms sweaty as she clutched her resume. She had practiced her answers all night, determined to nail this interview without relying on her last name. Soon, she was ushered into a conference room where a panel of 3 waited. Among them was Vanessa Pierce, a sharp-eyed woman in her 30s with a tight smile and an air of authority. Vanessa was the branch's operations manager, one of the names listed in Walter's email as someone to watch. "Kylie Reynolds," Vanessa read from her resume, her tone clipped. "No prior tech experience, just a college degree and some internships. Why should we hire you?" Kylie straightened in her seat, meeting Vanessa's gaze. "I'm a fast learner, and I'm driven to solve problems. I don't give up until I figure things out." Vanessa raised an eyebrow, unimpressed, but didn't push further. The other interviewers nodded, jotting notes. As the questions continued, Kylie noticed a familiar figure slip into the room and take a seat in the back. It was the guy from outside, still in his faded jacket, now watching her with quiet interest. She wondered why he was there. Maybe a last-minute applicant? But she brushed it off and focused on her answers. The interview wrapped up with a polite, "We'll be in touch," and Kylie exhaled, feeling a rush of relief. She had done her best, kept her cool, and hadn't let Vanessa rattle her. As she gathered her things, the young man approached her. "You handled that well," he said, his tone casual but genuine. "I'm Ryan, by the way. Ryan Kessler." Kylie smiled, shaking his outstretched hand. "Thanks, Ryan." "I'm Kylie. Good luck if you're interviewing, too." He grinned, a flicker of amusement in his eyes. Something like that. She didn't know it then, but Ryan wasn't just another applicant. He was the CEO of Kessler Solutions, Grayson Technology's biggest partner, and he had been undercover that morning, posing as a delivery guy to observe the branch's culture firsthand. He had come to assess the team, but now, after watching Kylie stand up to those bullies and shine in her interview, he was intrigued by her. Their brief encounter outside had sparked something, a connection neither of them could name yet. As Kylie stepped out of the building, her phone buzzed with a new email from Walter. "Good start," it read. "Keep your eyes open, the rot goes deeper than you think." She tucked her phone away, determination settling in her chest. She had aced the first step, but the real challenge was just beginning. Little did she know, Ryan Kessler was already a step ahead, quietly pulling strings from the shadows, his interest in her growing with every passing moment. Their paths had crossed by chance, but fate had more in store, a story of secrets, courage, and a love waiting to unfold. Kylie Reynolds left the Grayson Technologies building with a mix of pride and unease. She had survived the interview, faced Vanessa Pierce's cold scrutiny, and even made a small connection with Ryan Kessler, the quiet guy she'd helped outside. But Walter's latest email lingered in her mind. The rot goes deeper than you think. She knew this wasn't just about getting a job. It was about uncovering a mess someone had buried within her family's company. As she walked down the busy Manhattan street, her phone buzzed again. It was a message from Grayson Technologies' HR department. She'd been hired as a paid intern, starting the next day. A smile crept across her face. Step 1 was complete. Now, she had a way in. The following morning, Kylie arrived at the office early, dressed in a simple blouse and skirt, her laptop bag slung over her shoulder. The lobby was alive with activity, employees swiping ID cards and chatting over coffee. She reported to HR, signed paperwork, and was handed a temporary badge. Her first assignment was to shadow the operations team, led by none other than Vanessa Pierce. Kylie's stomach tightened. Vanessa had been listed in Walter's encrypted email as a person of interest, someone potentially tied to the missing millions. She'd have to keep her head down and her eyes sharp. As she stepped into the open-plan office, Vanessa spotted her immediately. "Well, look who made it," Vanessa said, her voice dripping with subtle mockery. She stood by a glass-walled meeting room, arms crossed, her tailored suit screaming authority. "Kylie Reynolds, right? The girl with no tech experience. Don't expect me to hold your hand." Kylie forced a polite smile. "I'm here to learn and contribute, Miss Pierce." "I'll manage." Vanessa smirked, her eyes narrowing. "We'll see about that. Follow me." Vanessa led Kylie to a cluttered desk near the back of the office, piled with old files and a flickering monitor. "Your job is to organize these reports by end of week," she said, gesturing at the mess. "Think you can handle that, or is it too much for a newbie?" Kylie nodded, keeping her tone even. "I'll get it done." Vanessa didn't reply, just turned and walked away, her heels clicking on the polished floor. Kylie sat down, scanning the stacks of paper. She wasn't here to play intern forever. She needed access to the company's systems, something that could lead her to the financial discrepancies Walter had flagged. As she started sorting, she overheard Vanessa talking to Trevor Malone, a stocky man with slicked-back hair and a loud laugh. He was the branch's finance manager, another name from Walter's email. "That new girl won't last," Vanessa said, her voice low but audible. "I've got a spot lined up for my cousin anyway." Trevor chuckled. "Keep her busy with busy work. She's no threat." Kylie clenched her jaw, pretending not to hear. They didn't know who they were dealing with, but she'd have to play their game for now. Later that day, as Kylie carried a stack of files to the copier, she ran into Ryan Kessler again. He was near the break room, holding a tray of coffee cups, still dressed in that faded jacket. "Need a hand?" he asked, balancing the tray with ease. Kylie hesitated, then nodded. "Sure, thanks." He set the tray down and took half the stack, walking with her to the machine. "First days are rough, huh?" he said, his tone light. "You holding up?" She smiled faintly. "Barely. Vanessa's already got it out for me." Ryan raised an eyebrow. She's tough, but you seem tougher. I saw how you handled those jerks yesterday. Kylie shrugged, feeding papers into the copier. I just don't like seeing people pushed around. He grinned. Good trait to have. Stick around, you'll figure this place out. His words were casual, but there was a warmth in them that caught her off guard. She thanked him as he handed back the files, their fingers brushing briefly. For a moment she wondered why a delivery guy was so comfortable wandering the office, but she dismissed it. Maybe he did odd jobs here too. By the end of the week, Kylie had settled into a routine, sorting files and keeping her ears open. She noticed Vanessa and Trevor often huddled in private, whispering about budgets and projects. One afternoon, she caught a snippet of their conversation near the coffee machine. We need to move that money before the audit, Trevor muttered. Vanessa nodded. I've got it covered. No one's digging that deep. Kylie's pulse quickened. This could be her first lead. She ducked behind a partition, jotting the words on her phone. That night, she emailed Walter an update, asking for advice on accessing financial records without clearance. His reply came fast. Be patient. Build trust. Look for cracks. She sighed, knowing he was right. Rushing would blow her cover. Meanwhile, Vanessa wasn't letting up. During a team meeting, she called Kylie out in front of everyone. Kylie, since you're so eager to learn, why don't you summarize last quarter's performance? Her tone was sly, a trap to embarrass her. Kylie hadn't been given those reports yet, and Vanessa knew it. She stood, keeping her composure. I'd be happy to, if you'd share the data with me first. The room went quiet. Vanessa's smile faltered, but she recovered quickly. Fine, someone get her the files. As Kylie sat down, she felt eyes on her, including Ryan's. He'd slipped into the meeting late, standing by the door, and gave her a subtle nod of approval. She didn't know why it mattered, but it did. The next day, rumors started swirling. Kylie overheard 2 coworkers by the water cooler, heard the new interns chasing after some delivery guy, one said, snickering. Guess she's desperate to fit in. The other laughed. Vanessa said she's all talk, no substance. Kylie froze, her cheeks burning. She hadn't chased anyone, but the story was spreading fast, twisted by Vanessa's venom. She confronted Ryan about it in the break room, her voice low. People are talking about us. Did you say something? He looked surprised, then shook his head. No way. I don't gossip. Sounds like someone's stirring the pot. She studied him, unsure. Maybe. Just keep your distance, okay? I don't need more trouble. He nodded, but his expression darkened slightly, as if her words stung. Behind the scenes, Ryan was more than he let on. As CEO of Kessler Solutions, he'd been watching Grayson Technologies closely, suspicious of mismanagement. He'd posed as a delivery guy to get an unfiltered view of the branch, and Kylie's arrival had thrown him off balance. She wasn't like the others, all ambition and no heart. She had fire, integrity, and a quiet strength he admired. He'd heard Vanessa's rumors too, and they ticked him off. He decided to stick closer to Kylie, not just to protect her, but because he couldn't shake the feeling she was special. Kylie, meanwhile, dug into the files Vanessa had reluctantly handed over. Late that night, poring over numbers at her desk, she spotted something odd. A series of payments labeled consulting fees to a shell company signed off by Trevor. Her heart raced. This was it. A crack in the facade. She didn't know it yet, but her discovery was about to pull her deeper into a web of deceit, with Vanessa and Trevor tightening their grip and Ryan watching from the shadows, ready to step in when she needed him most. Kylie Reynolds sat alone in the dimly lit Grayson Technologies office, the hum of the air conditioning the only sound breaking the silence. It was past 9, and most of the staff had gone home, leaving her with a stack of financial reports and a growing sense of purpose. She'd stumbled onto something big the night before, a series of payments labeled consulting fees to a vague entity called Horizon Consulting, all approved by Trevor Malone. The numbers didn't add up, millions funneled out over months, hidden in plain sight. She cross-checked them against the files Vanessa Pierce had tossed her way after that awkward meeting, and the pattern was clear. This wasn't sloppy bookkeeping. It was deliberate. She typed a quick email to Walter Grayson, her grandfather, attaching a screenshot of the suspicious entries. Found a lead, need access to deeper records. Advice, his reply pinged back within minutes. Smart catch. Earn their trust, get into the system. Stay cautious. Kylie leaned back in her chair, rubbing her eyes. Trust wasn't easy to come by here, not with Vanessa breathing down her neck. Her first week as an intern had been a grind. Vanessa seemed determined to bury her in pointless tasks, dumping piles of outdated expense reports and demanding summaries no one read. "Let's see if you can handle the basics before you dream of anything bigger," Vanessa had said with that tight, fake smile. Kylie played along, nodding politely while quietly observing. She noticed how Vanessa and Trevor often disappeared into closed-door meetings, their voices hushed, their glances sharp. She'd caught fragments of their talks, mentions of audits and moving money, enough to confirm Walter's suspicions, but she needed proof, something solid to tie them to the missing millions. That meant getting into the company's digital archives, a level of access interns didn't have. She started small, volunteering for extra data entry, hoping someone would slip up and leave a password line around. Ryan Kessler became her unexpected lifeline. She'd see him around the office, always with that tray of coffee cups or a stack of mail, blending in like he belonged. He'd stop by her desk now and then, offering a quick "how's it going?" or a sympathetic grin when Vanessa piled on more work. One afternoon, as Kylie struggled with a jammed printer, Ryan appeared, setting down his tray. "Need a rescue?" he asked, prying the machine open with practiced ease. She laughed despite herself. "You're a printer whisperer now?" He shrugged, pulling out a crumpled sheet. "I've got hidden talents. You look stressed." "Vanessa again?" Kylie sighed, keeping her voice low. "She's testing me. Thinks I'll quit." Ryan fixed the printer and handed her the stack. "She underestimates you." "I've seen it." His words were simple, but they stuck with her, a small boost in a sea of doubt. Their chats grew frequent, often after hours at a cozy coffee shop a block from the office. It started as a way to decompress, Kylie venting about Vanessa while Ryan listened, nodding thoughtfully. He'd drop bits of info he'd overheard, like Trevor griping about budget cuts or Vanessa mentioning a big project deadline. "People talk too loud around the mailroom," he'd say with a smirk. Kylie didn't question it at first. She was just grateful for the crumbs. One evening, as they sat with steaming mugs, Ryan fumbled his cup, splashing coffee across her sleeve. "Oh man, I'm sorry," he said, grabbing napkins and dabbing at her arm. She laughed, swatting him away. "It's fine, I'm a mess anyway." He kept apologizing, his cheeks red, and she couldn't help but find it endearing. "You're not as smooth as you think," she teased. He grinned. "Guess I need practice." The moment lingered, warm and easy, and Kylie felt a flicker of something new, a pull she hadn't expected. She pushed it down. He was just a friend, a delivery guy with a knack for showing up when she needed him. But Vanessa wasn't letting Kylie off easy. The rumors she'd started earlier morphed into something uglier. By week 2, whispers followed Kylie through the office. "Heard she's cozying up to that scruffy delivery kid," one coworker muttered at lunch. "Vanessa says she's desperate for attention," another chimed in, smirking. Kylie overheard it all, her stomach twisting. She confronted Ryan in the break room, her tone sharp, saying, "I'm chasing you, what did you tell them?" He looked genuinely startled, setting down his coffee. "Nothing, I swear. I don't play those games. Vanessa's behind this, isn't she?" Kylie crossed her arms, studying him. "Probably. She's got a talent for twisting things." Ryan stepped closer, his voice firm. "I'd never sell you out, believe that." She wanted to, but doubt gnawed at her. "Just keep it professional, okay?" she said, walking away. He watched her go, frustration flickering in his eyes. He knew more than he could say, and Vanessa's games were starting to hit too close. Ryan wasn't just a delivery guy, of course. As CEO of Kessler Solutions, he'd been digging into Grayson Technologies for weeks, suspicious of financial irregularities affecting their joint projects. Posing as a low-level worker let him see the truth, a culture of arrogance and greed, with Vanessa and Trevor at the helm. Kylie's arrival had been a surprise, her grit and kindness standing out in a place full of sharks. He'd fed her intel subtly, testing her instincts, and she'd impressed him every time. But he couldn't tell her who he was. Not yet. His board had a stake in Grayson's stability, and he needed to know if she was the key to fixing it, or just another pawn. Kylie's breakthrough came late one Friday. Vanessa, in a rare lapse, asked her to upload a batch of expense reports to the server. "Don't screw it up," she snapped, handing over a temporary login. Kylie's heart raced as she logged in, her fingers trembling. She uploaded the files as instructed, but instead of logging out, she poked around. Most folders were locked, but one wasn't. A directory labeled Vendor Payments. She opened it, scanning files until one caught her eye. Horizon Consulting Q3 Breakdown. It matched the payments she'd flagged. She clicked, and there it was, a spreadsheet detailing transfers totaling over $10 million, signed by Trevor and countersigned by Vanessa. Her breath caught. This was the proof she needed, or at least a start. She copied the file to a USB drive, her mind racing. She emailed Walter again. "Found something big. Need to dig deeper. Help." The reply came fast. "Good work. Watch your back. They'll fight dirty." Kylie logged out, pocketing the drive just as the janitor rolled his cart past. She was in deep now, and Vanessa wouldn't stay careless forever. The next Monday, Vanessa hit her with a new task. Summarize a year's worth of vendor contracts by Wednesday. "Let's see if you're as smart as you think," she said, her smile icy. Kylie nodded, but her mind was elsewhere. She'd caught a glimpse of Vanessa and Trevor arguing in the hall, Trevor muttering about cleaning the books. She needed an ally, someone inside who could help. Ryan's face flashed in her mind, but she hesitated. Could she trust him? That night at the coffee shop, she tested him. "Ever hear anything weird about Trevor?" she asked, sipping her latte. Ryan leaned back, casual. "Guy's always complaining about audits. Sounds nervous." She pressed further. "What about Vanessa?" He paused, then said, "She's cagey. Talks about big wins, but never specifics." "Why?" Kylie shrugged. "Just curious." He didn't push, but his eyes lingered on her, sharp and knowing. She left feeling torn. He was helpful, maybe too helpful. Was he just nice, or playing a game of his own? The real shock came the next day. An email hit her inbox, forwarded from an anonymous account. "Check Horizon Consulting. Look at Nicole Hayes." Kylie frowned. Nicole Hayes wasn't a name she knew, but the mention of Horizon sent a chill down her spine. She searched the company directory, finding a Nicole listed as a remote contractor tied to a project Trevor oversaw. Who sent this? Walter? Someone else? She didn't know, but it was a thread she couldn't ignore. Vanessa and Trevor weren't alone in this, and the web was growing. Kylie glanced across the office, catching Ryan watching her from the mail cart. He gave a small wave, and she nodded back, her resolve hardening. She was onto something massive, and whether she liked it or not, Ryan was becoming part of her fight. Kylie Reynolds sat at her desk in the Grayson Technologies office, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows across the room. Her discovery of the Horizon Consulting payments had lit a fire under her, and the anonymous email mentioning Nicole Hayes had only deepened the mystery. She'd spent the morning digging through the company directory, confirming Nicole was a contractor tied to Trevor Malone's projects. But who was she, and why was her name surfacing now? Kylie's gut told her this was no coincidence. She typed a quick update to Walter Grayson, her grandfather. "Found Nicole Hayes in records, linked to Trevor. Thoughts?" His reply came fast. "Careful. Could be a bigger player. Protect yourself." She nodded to the screen, knowing he was right. Vanessa Pierce and Trevor were already suspicious. Adding another name to the mix meant the stakes were climbing. Her days had fallen into a tense rhythm. Vanessa kept her swamped with busy work, piling on vendor contracts and petty errands, but Kylie used every chance to snoop. She'd memorized the office layout, noting where Trevor kept his files and which computers Vanessa lingered at. She'd even started chatting up coworkers, fishing for gossip about Nicole. Most shrugged her off, but one admin assistant, a chatty woman named Lisa, dropped a hint over lunch. Nicole? Oh, she's some hotshot consultant. Trevor's always on calls with her, real hush-hush. Kylie filed it away, her mind racing. She needed more, something concrete to connect the dots. Ryan Kessler remained her shadow, popping up with coffee or a quick word of encouragement. She'd grown used to his presence, even leaned on it, though she still couldn't shake the feeling he knew more than he let on. That afternoon, Vanessa caught her off guard. Kylie, run these contracts to the 4th floor, she said, shoving a thick folder into her hands. Don't dawdle. Kylie nodded, sensing a chance. The 4th floor housed the finance team, Trevor's domain. As she rode the elevator, she rehearsed her plan, drop the files, linger, look for anything useful. But when she stepped out, she nearly bumped into Ryan, carrying a stack of envelopes. Fancy meeting you here, he said, grinning. She raised an eyebrow. You're everywhere, aren't you? He chuckled. Just doing my rounds. You okay? You look tense. She hesitated, then decided to test him again. Ever hear of Nicole Hayes? His grin faded slightly, replaced by a flicker of something she couldn't read. Maybe. Names floated around. Why? She shrugged. Just curious. He didn't push, but his eyes lingered on her as she walked away, a quiet intensity she couldn't place. On the 4th floor, Kylie delivered the contracts to a distracted clerk, then lingered by a row of filing cabinets. She scanned the labels, her pulse quickening when she spotted one marked Consultants Active. She glanced around, saw no one watching, and slid it open. Inside was a thin folder labeled Hayes, Nicole, Contract Terms. She flipped it open, skimming the pages. Consulting fees, project codes, Trevor's signature everywhere. The numbers matched the Horizon payments she'd found. She pulled out her phone, snapping quick photos, when a voice cut through the silence. What are you doing? It was Trevor, standing in the doorway, his face hard. Kylie shut the drawer, forcing a smile. Just dropping off files. Got lost looking for the clerk. He stepped closer, eyes narrowing. Don't wonder where you don't belong, intern. She nodded, heart pounding, and slipped past him, the photos burning a hole in her pocket. That night, at the coffee shop, she showed Ryan the pics. Look at this, she said, sliding her phone across the table. Nicole's tied to Trevor, and it's dirty. He studied the screen, his jaw tightening. That's big. You're sure about this? She nodded. I'm close, Ryan. I just need to figure out who she really is. He handed the phone back, his voice low. Be careful. People like Trevor don't mess around. She met his gaze, sensing a weight behind his words. I can handle it, she said, though doubt crept in. He didn't argue, but his silence felt heavy, like he was holding something back. Ryan had his own reasons to worry. As CEO of Kessler Solutions, he'd been tracking Grayson's finances for months, suspecting leaks that hit his company's bottom line. Kylie's digging aligned with his own, and he'd been feeding her leads to see how far she'd go. But Nicole Hayes was a name he recognized, a distant Grayson relative he'd met at a board event years ago. She'd been ambitious, ruthless, and now it seemed dangerous. He'd overheard Trevor on a call that morning barking about cleaning up loose ends. Ryan's instincts screamed trouble, and Kylie was walking right into it. He couldn't stay on the sidelines much longer. The next day, Kylie's world tilted. She was in the parking garage, heading to her car after a late shift, when a black SUV screeched to a stop beside her. Two men jumped out, faces masked, and before she could scream, a hand clamped over her mouth. She fought, kicking and thrashing, but they dragged her into the vehicle, tires squealing as it sped off. Her heart hammered as she caught a glimpse of a woman in the front seat, her voice cold. Keep her quiet. We've got plans. It was Nicole Hayes, her profile unmistakable from a photo Kylie had found online. The pieces clicked. Nicole wasn't just a contractor. She was orchestrating this with Trevor, aiming to frame Kylie for the theft and seize Grayson Technologies when Walter was out of the picture. Miles away, Ryan paced his penthouse office, phone pressed to his ear. He'd noticed Kylie's car still in the garage after hours and called her, getting no answer. Something was wrong. He dialed a friend, Mike, a private security guy he'd known since college. "Mike, I need a favor. Track a black SUV, Manhattan plates. Left Grayson's garage 10 minutes ago. Hurry." Mike didn't ask questions, just got to work. Ryan grabbed his keys, adrenaline surging. He'd been watching Kylie too long to let this happen. Mike called back minutes later. "Got a hit. SUV's headed to an industrial lot on the Lower East Side. You sure about this?" Ryan was already in his car. "Dead sure." The SUV stopped in a deserted warehouse, and Kylie was shoved onto a concrete floor, hands zip-tied behind her. Nicole stepped out, her heels clicking, a smirk on her face. "You're a problem, Kylie, digging where you shouldn't." Kylie glared up at her. "You're stealing from my family. You won't get away with it." Nicole laughed. "Your family, cute. Once Walter's gone, it's mine. You're just the fall guy." She nodded to the men. "Make it quick." Kylie's mind raced, searching for an out, when headlights pierced the darkness. A car roared in, skidding to a stop, and Ryan leapt out, Mike behind him with a gun drawn. "Let her go," Ryan shouted, voice raw. The men froze, caught off guard, and Mike barked, "Hands up now!" A scuffle broke out, punches flying. Ryan took a hit to the shoulder but tackled one thug, pinning him down as Mike subdued the other. Nicole bolted for the SUV, but Mike cut her off, cuffing her wrists. Ryan rushed to Kylie, cutting her ties with a pocket knife. "You okay?" he asked, breathless, his hands shaking as he checked her for injuries. She nodded, dazed. "How'd you find me?" He pulled her up, steadying her. "Long story. You're safe, that's what matters." She searched his face, seeing panic and relief mingled there. Then it hit her. He wasn't just a delivery guy. "Who are you really?" she asked, voice trembling. He hesitated, then met her eyes. "Ryan Kessler, CEO of Kessler Solutions. I've been undercover, watching Grayson. And you." Her jaw dropped, shock mixing with gratitude. Before she could respond, Mike called out, "Cops are 5 minutes out, we've got these 3. Ryan nodded, but his focus stayed on Kylie. "We're not done yet," he said. "Vanessa and Trevor are still out there." Kylie caught her breath, the weight of it all crashing down. Nicole's plan had failed, but the fight wasn't over. She looked at Ryan, his shoulder bruised, his eyes fierce with determination. He'd risked everything for her, and now she knew why. They were in this together, deeper than she'd ever imagined, and the showdown was coming fast. Kylie Reynolds stood in the quiet of her apartment, staring at the dress hanging on her closet door. It was a deep blue gown, elegant but understated, bought with her first intern paycheck. Tomorrow was the Grayson Technologies annual gala, a glitzy event at a Manhattan hotel where the company's top brass would mingle with clients and partners. She'd barely slept since the warehouse ordeal, her wrists still tender from the zip ties Nicole Hayes had used to bind her. Ryan Kessler's rescue replayed in her mind, his voice hoarse as he cut her free, his confession that he was the CEO of Kessler Solutions. She'd been stunned, grateful, and a little angry he'd kept it from her. But there was no time to dwell. Nicole was in custody, spilling details to the cops about her scheme to frame Kylie and seize Grayson Technologies. Yet Vanessa Pierce and Trevor Malone were still at large, untouched and dangerous. The gala was Kylie's chance to end this. She met Ryan the next morning at the coffee shop, their usual spot, now a war room. He sat across from her, a bruise fading on his shoulder, his usual faded jacket swapped for a crisp button-down. "You sure about this?" he asked, sipping his coffee. "Vanessa and Trevor will be there, smug as ever." Kylie nodded, her jaw set. "I've got everything. The Horizon Consulting files, Nicole's contract, the photos. Walter's on board, too. We're taking them down." Ryan leaned forward, his voice low. "I've got your back. Kessler Solutions has leverage. One word from me, and Grayson's board will listen. But you're the star tomorrow. It's your show." She managed a small smile. "Thanks for the save, by the way. I owe you." He shook his head. "You'd have done the same. We're a team now." The words hung between them, warm and steady, and Kylie felt a rush of trust she hadn't expected. They spent hours planning, syncing their moves, ready for the fight ahead. The gala night arrived, and the hotel ballroom sparkled with chandeliers and clinking glasses. Kylie stepped inside, the blue dress hugging her frame, her head high despite the nerves. Employees milled around in tuxes and gowns, chatting over champagne, while a string quartet played in the corner. She spotted Vanessa near the bar, laughing with a group of execs, her red dress a bold statement. Trevor lingered nearby, nursing a whiskey, his eyes darting around. Kylie clutched her purse, where a USB drive held her evidence, and took a deep breath. Ryan entered moments later, transformed in a tailored suit, his presence commanding without effort. He caught her eye across the room, nodding subtly. It was time. Walter Grayson arrived soon after, his silver hair gleaming under the lights, his cane tapping the floor. He'd insisted on attending, trusting Kylie to handle the reveal but ready to step in if needed. She approached him, keeping her voice low. "You okay, Grandpa?" He smiled, patting her arm. "Proud of you, kid. Let's clean house." She nodded, steeling herself as the evening's program began. The MC took the stage, welcoming everyone and introducing the night's highlights. Then Vanessa stepped up, her smile polished, ready to give a speech about the branch's success. Kylie saw her opening. She raised her hand, interrupting. "Excuse me, can I say something first?" The room turned, murmurs rippling through the crowd. Vanessa's smile froze. "This is hardly the time, Kylie," she said, her tone sharp. But Walter spoke up. "Let her talk. She's earned it." Vanessa hesitated, then stepped aside, her eyes narrowing. Kylie climbed the stage, her heart pounding but her voice steady. "I'm Kylie Reynolds, an intern here, but I'm also Walter Grayson's granddaughter. For weeks I've been investigating a theft that's bled this company dry." Gasps echoed around her. She plugged the USB into the projector, pulling up the Horizon Consulting spreadsheet. These payments, millions of dollars, were funneled out by Trevor Malone and Vanessa Pierce, hidden as consulting fees. The screen glowed with evidence, signatures glaring. Trevor choked on his drink, his face paling, while Vanessa's hands clenched. "That's a lie," she snapped, stepping forward. "She's making this up." Kylie didn't flinch. "I've got more. Contracts signed by both of you, tied to a shell company. And then there's Nicole Hayes." She clicked to the next slide, Nicole's photo beside her arrest report. "She tried to kidnap me to cover this up. Admitted it to the police. She's a Grayson relative working with Trevor to frame me and take over when Walter retired." The room erupted, voices overlapping in shock. Trevor bolted for the exit, but Ryan moved fast, blocking his path with 2 security guards he'd tipped off earlier. "Not so fast," Ryan said, his voice calm but firm. Vanessa turned to the crowd, desperate. "This is nonsense. I'm the real granddaughter here, not her." Walter stood, his cane steadying him. "Enough, Vanessa. You forged your way in, and I've got the records to prove it. You're done." He nodded to Kylie, who continued. "This isn't just about me. It's about everyone here who's worked honestly while these 3 stole from us. It stops tonight." She locked eyes with Ryan, drawing strength from his quiet nod. Ryan took the mic next, his suit catching the light. "I'm Ryan Kessler, CEO of Kessler Solutions, your biggest partner. I've seen the numbers and I've seen Kylie's proof. If Grayson doesn't act, we walk. Your move." The board members in the crowd shifted uncomfortably, whispering among themselves. Walter raised a hand, silencing them. "Vanessa Pierce, Trevor Malone, you're fired, effective now. Nicole's already in custody. The police are outside waiting." 2 officers stepped in, cuffs ready. Trevor cursed, struggling as they grabbed him, his confession tumbling out under pressure from debts he'd racked up. "It was Vanessa's idea. She dragged me into it." Vanessa lunged at him, shrieking, but the second officer pulled her back, snapping cuffs on her wrists. The crowd watched, stunned, as they were hauled away. Kylie stepped off the stage, legs shaky but head high. Walter met her, his eyes misty. "You did it, Kylie." "I knew you could." She hugged him, whispering, "We did it." Ryan joined them, his hand brushing her shoulder. "You were incredible up there," he said, his voice soft. She smiled, exhaustion mixing with relief. "Couldn't have done it without you." The gala buzzed around them, employees approaching with questions, but Walter waved them off. "Later, folks. Let her breathe." He turned to Kylie, his tone serious. This company's yours now. You've earned it." She shook her head, surprising him. "Not yet, Grandpa. I'm not ready. I need to learn more, do this right." He frowned, puzzled, but Ryan caught her drift, a flicker of admiration in his eyes. As the night wound down, Kylie slipped outside to the hotel balcony, the city skyline glittering below. Ryan followed, leaning against the railing beside her. "Big win tonight," he said. "What's next?" She took a deep breath, the words spilling out. "I'm going to Harvard, business school. I want to run Grayson my way, not just inherit it." He nodded, no trace of disappointment. "Smart move. You'll kill it." She glanced at him, grateful for his steadiness. "You're not mad?" He laughed softly. "Why would I be? I'll be here when you get back." Her heart skipped, but she kept it light. Good to know. They stood there, the air cool and quiet, the weight of their victory settling in. Vanessa and Trevor were gone, Nicole locked up, justice served. But Kylie knew this wasn't the end, just a turning point, and Ryan was part of whatever came next. Kylie Reynolds stood in her apartment, surrounded by half-packed boxes and the faint hum of New York traffic outside her window. The Grayson Technologies Gala was a week behind her, but its echoes still rang in her ears. Vanessa Pierce and Trevor Malone hauled off in cuffs, Nicole Hayes locked away. The stunned faces of her co-workers as she claimed her place as Walter Grayson's granddaughter. She'd won, exposed the rot, and restored her family's company. But victory didn't feel like an ending, it felt like a beginning. Walter had offered her the keys to Grayson Technologies that night, his voice firm with pride. "It's yours, Kylie. You've proven yourself." She'd hugged him tight, grateful for his trust, but her answer surprised him. "Not yet, Grandpa. I need to earn it my way." He'd frowned, puzzled, until she explained her plan. Harvard Business School, a chance to learn the ropes properly, to lead with skill, not just a name. He'd nodded slowly, a smile breaking through. "Stubborn like me. Go get it, kid." Now, with her acceptance letter pinned to the fridge and her flight booked, Kylie felt a mix of nerves and excitement. She'd spent days tying up loose ends at Grayson, handing off her intern duties and briefing Walter on the evidence she'd gathered. He'd promised to oversee the cleanup, rooting out any lingering allies of Vanessa and Trevor. "You focus on school," he'd said over dinner, his eyes twinkling. "I'll hold the fort." She trusted him, but one thing nagged at her. Ryan Kessler. Since the gala, they'd barely spoken. He'd been there on the balcony, steady and sure, promising to wait while she chased her dreams. But as her departure loomed, she wondered if he'd meant it, or if their whirlwind alliance was just that, a moment born of crisis. The day before her flight, Kylie walked through Central Park, the autumn leaves crunching under her boots. She needed air, a break from packing, and a chance to think. Ryan had texted that morning, short and simple. "Airport tomorrow? Want to say goodbye?" She'd replied with a quick "sure," but her stomach fluttered. He'd risked his life to save her, stood by her at the gala, and never pushed her to be anything she wasn't. She cared about him more than she'd admitted, and the thought of leaving without clarity gnawed at her. As she rounded a bend, she spotted him on a bench, dressed in a gray sweater, a small box in his hands. He looked up, grinning. "Caught you," he said, standing. She laughed, joining him. "Stalking me now?" He shrugged. "Just good timing. Thought I'd save the airport rush." They sat, the park quiet around them, and Kylie broke the silence. "You didn't have to come. I'd have been fine tomorrow." Ryan tilted his head, studying her. "Maybe I wanted to. You're leaving, and I didn't say everything I should have." She raised an eyebrow. "Like what?" He opened the box, revealing a simple silver necklace, a tiny star pendant glinting in the light. "This," he said, handing it to her. "Saw it in a shop. Thought of you. A star for the one who lit up that mess at Grayson." Kylie took it, her fingers brushing his, warmth spreading through her. "Ryan, it's beautiful. You didn't have to." He smiled, soft but sure. "I wanted to. You're not just some intern I helped, Kylie. You're more. I meant it when I said I'd wait." Her throat tightened, emotions swirling. She'd kept him at arm's length, unsure of his place in her life, but here he was, steady as ever. "I don't know what to say," she admitted, clutching the necklace. "I'm leaving for 2 years. Harvard's intense. What if—" She trailed off and he filled the gap. "What if it changes things? It might. But I'm not asking for promises. I just want you to know where I stand." She looked at him, his dark eyes honest, and felt the walls she'd built soften. "I care about you too," she said, the words spilling out. "More than I planned. But I need this to figure out who I am without Grayson or you holding me up." He nodded, no trace of hurt. "I get it. Go be amazing. I'll be here, running Kessler Solutions, probably burning coffee without you to keep me in line." She laughed, the tension easing, and slipped the necklace on, the star resting against her collarbone. "Deal," she said, "but you'd better not forget me." He grinned. "Not a chance." They sat a while longer, talking about nothing and everything, the park fading into dusk around them. When they parted, he pulled her into a hug, brief but tight, and she felt the promise in it, unspoken but real. The next morning, Kylie stood at JFK Airport, her suitcase checked, her boarding pass in hand. Walter had driven her, his goodbye gruff but warm. "Call me when you land," he'd said, hugging her fiercely. "And don't let those Harvard kids outsmart you." She'd laughed, promising to check in. Ryan hadn't come. They'd said what they needed in the park. As she walked to the gate, her phone buzzed with a text from him. "Knock 'em dead, Star. See you when you're ready." She smiled, tucking it away, the necklace cool against her skin. Boarding the plane, Kylie settled into her seat, gazing out at the tarmac. She'd come to Grayson Technologies for a job, stumbled into a fight for her family, and found Ryan along the way. Vanessa, Trevor, and Nicole were shadows now, their schemes undone by her grit and his courage. She wasn't the same girl who'd walked into that interview, nervous and unsure. She was stronger, surer, ready to build something of her own. Harvard was her next step, a chance to grow into the leader Grayson deserved. And Ryan? He was a question mark, a quiet hope she carried with her. The plane taxied, lifting off into the sky, and Kylie closed her eyes, the star pendant a reminder of where she'd been, and the man who'd wait for where she was going. This wasn't goodbye, just a pause in a story still unfolding.